Hi class. So in this video, we're going to talk about ways to add variety to your sentences. So the first way that you can add variety is to begin your sentence with an adverb. And an adverb is a word that describes a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. And most often, not all the time, but most often, an adverb will end in ly. As you can see here are some examples. Quickly, softly, quietly, angrily, and timidly. So let's take a look at the following sentences here. Let's focus on the first one. She slowly turned the corner and peered into the murky basement. Okay. Now notice how the sentence changes when we place the adverb slowly at the beginning. Slowly, she turned the corner and peered into the murky basement. So now, not only does it change the rhythm of the sentence by having that introductory element and the pause, but it also forces the reader to focus on how she is moving. Right? Whereas the adverb slowly kind of gets lost, or it doesn't have the same kind of emphasis as it does in the second sentence. Right, so let's read that again. Slowly, she turned the corner and peered into the murky basement. So you notice how the second sentence, again, as I said, it changes the rhythm and places the emphasis on how the subject moves. Okay, so that's one way to add variety. And another way would be to begin your sentence with a preposition or prepositional phrase. Right? A prepositional phrase is a group of words that behaves like an adjective or an adverb because it modifies a noun or a verb. Prepositional phrases contain a preposition, a word that specifies place, right, below, direction, to the left, or time, in the afternoon, right? And the object of the preposition, a noun, phrase, or pronoun that follows the preposition. Some prepositional phrases can be moved to the beginning of a sentence in order to create variety in your sentence, and also, like we saw with the adverb, to place the emphasis on place, direction, or time. So let's take a look at this example here. The terrified child hid underneath the heavy wooden table. So the preposition here, underneath, which lets us know place, right? And here's the prepositional phrase, underneath the heavy wooden table. If we put that at the beginning of the sentence and we have underneath the heavy wooden table, the terrified child hid. Notice again, it changes the rhythm because we have a pause, and that pause places the emphasis on where the child is hiding, right? And in this case, the child is hiding underneath the heavy wooden table. Okay, so another way that you can add variety to your sentence is to flip-flop the subject and the verb. Most writers follow the subject, verb, object, sentence structure. Usually the subject comes first, followed by the verb. But when the sentence is inverted, the order is reversed so that the subject follows the verb. Take a look at the original sentence here. A truck was parked in the driveway. Now, notice what happens when we invert the subject and verb. Parked in the driveway was a truck. Essentially, the sentence means the same thing, but again, it's unique, it's different, but also there is a more emphasis on the truck, right? Parked in the driveway was a truck, whereas this one, a truck was parked in the driveway. It seems like the emphasis is more on the driveway, right? This technique is useful for drawing the reader's attention to your primary area of focus, and we can apply this method to an academic essay. And finally, another way to add variety to your sentences is to use relative clauses. A relative clause is a group of words that contains a subject and a verb and describes a noun. Relative clauses function as adjectives by answering questions such as which one or what kind. Relative clauses begin with a relative pronoun like who, which, where, why, or when. Now, relative clauses are a useful way of providing non-essential information. So what that means is we could take the information out of the sentence and the sentence is still going to make sense. So when we are using relative clauses to provide non-essential information, we use commas. Let's take a look at the example here of these two sentences. The managing director is visiting the company next week. He lives in Seattle. Okay, if we combine these two sentences by using a relative clause, so first we would want to figure out, okay, which is going to be our main sentence? Probably this one, the fact that he is visiting the company next week. So we can turn this into a relative clause by using the appropriate relative pronoun. In this case, it would be who. And we have the managing director, comma, who lives in Seattle, comma, is visiting the company next week, right? So this is non-essential information, but it does help, right? It does help to provide us, the reader, a little bit more information about this managing director. But if we were to take it out of the sentence, then we would be left with this first sentence here. The managing director is visiting the company next week. It doesn't change the meaning of the sentence, right? So that's why we have the commas. So thanks for watching. Those are the 4 different ways that you can add variety to your sentences.